In 30 seconds, you will be witness to one of the greatest online events in the history of, well, online events. Descript proudly brings to you a topic that you deeply care about and whose name is the title of this online event. I'm Don. I am not your host. I am an overdub stock voice included for free with Descript. So, now, let's meet someone who actually works here.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
How's it going, Kevin?
And we're back.
We're back and better than ever.
Better than ever.
That's true every time.
Glad to hear that.
And
Nice
it's hat day
San
for
Diego
us.
hat.
Yes, the Padres are famously doing really well for the first time in my lifetime.
Oh, wow.
And I'm a proud San Diego born and raised gal over here. But hello, I'm Christiana. I'm the community manager here at Descript, and I'm joined by my friend Kevin, our product specialist. Hey, Kevin.
Hey. Glad to be here.
So happy to be here with you. We are both on the East Coast now. I'm in New York. Are you over in Rhode Island? Are you home or?
Yep.
Amazing.
Rhode Island.
Cool. And we've got people from all over in the chat. Victor in Portland, Brian and Ray Lee, DM from Toronto. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Which Portland?
I think Portland, Oregon, which
okay.
is huge for me. I'm moving there, Victor, in a few months. So shout out to Portland. But it's so great to have everybody here. Thanks for spending part of your Thursday with us. We're here for Storyboard 101. Kevin's going to walk us through some live demos of the features and the workflows. And I'll be my own guide and your guide as we're learning. Kevin, have you been having fun with anything specific in Storyboard lately? What have you been using it for?
Yeah, I've been making a bunch of stuff. I've been trying to replicate some of my favorite social videos or YouTube videos, and it's kind of like an artist saying too, is like stealing and borrowing from all of your favorites to make your own.
Yeah,
and that's been really fun because there's so many people making such cool stuff right now.
totally.
I especially love the NPR shorts that they're making on Instagram. There's this one creator whose name is escaping me right now, but he uses green screen and like tons of animations all the time, and it's really, really cool. So I've been messing around with our green screen feature.
Awesome. Yeah. Love it.
How about you?
Super cool. One sec. Let me my dog got a squeaky toy. I'm gonna grab that before we get any further.
It's great for audio recording, isn't it?
Yeah, that'll be great background noise for sure. So for me, I'll use a work example. I just yesterday stitched together like the marketing team's update from Q3 to share at our company-wide meeting, and each like person's update like was an individual scene, which we'll talk about more. And so I used that storyboard to just like set up each of those storylines and updates, and it was super helpful.
Which it was very good also, I must say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, it was super fun. But before we get started, I'm just going to go over quickly what we're going to cover today. So here's a little look. So sorry if mine and Kevin's things are covering the screen. Sometimes that happens. But anyway.
I can turn that off real quick.
Perfect. Cool. Thank you. So we're going to start off with a redesign tour, going through what's new, what's changed, where things are. Then we're going to jump into covering the script and the timeline. Then Kevin will walk us through the 3 modes: edit, write, correct. We'll cover scenes, which I just mentioned. What are they? How do you use them? Jump into the stock media library, templates, multi-track screen recording, studio sound, and then we'll end with video and image effects. And then just the classic reminders. Down below, use the Ask a Question section for all of your questions. Our friend Marcelo from support is in there, and he will be happy to answer all of those questions. Use the chat for your reactions, chatting, commentary, all of that stuff. If we freeze, if your browser freezes, just hit refresh. And then this is recorded. So if you have to jump early, no problem. We'll send out the recording in the follow-up email. And then, as always, you can click the preview star in Descript to check out more resources. And that's that. And I think we're off to the races.
Love it. Should we jump in to Storyboard?
Yeah, cool. I'll let you take it away.
All right. So some things to think about as we're going in today. I know a lot of folks here are brand new Descript users, first time maybe even seeing the app, or just this week they opened the app for the first time. And there's also a lot of folks here that have been using Descript for a long time and are transitioning from what we're calling Classic to Storyboard. Mm-hmm. So bear with us as we try to meet both of those needs, because there's a learning from the ground up approach for new users, and then also kind of a change management. How do I take my workflow from Classic to Storyboard? So we'll cover that best we can. But please feel free to ask questions if something isn't clear, or we can hit it again. But
totally,
based on Christiana's overview, I think we're going to get to all this stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Maybe if for the folks in the chat, let us know how long you've been using Descript for and where you're at in your journey. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. So while you're working, the best resource you can check out, click this question mark in the bottom right-hand corner to visit the in-app help center, and then click Help Center here. It's going to bring you to help.descript.com, which is our landing place for everything Storyboard. Now you'll be able to visit all of the tutorials and reference guide and key terms, where things have moved, if things have changed. I've often been working with folks, and we'll just have that side by side with the app, so you can search for something or check something out as you're working. Very cool. I'm on our internal version of the app, which is the most worked on and recent up-to-date one. But if you're on the public version of the app, you'll also be an option here to contact us. And you can chat in by clicking Contact Us and get in touch. Chat in with our support team Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. And you can talk to a real human and get your little questions or workflow curiosities answered super quick.
Awesome.
All right. So spend a couple minutes real quick just talking about our Drive overview. This is our Drive view. When you open the app, this is what is pulled up. If you're working on different teams, you might have access to different drives here. If you're invited to drives or you create drives, who knows? It's where you might manage members and settings for each of those. And then we have a bunch of shortcuts and workspaces. So for each drive you have access to, or if it's just your drive, you have two workspaces down here: private workspace and your drive workspace. The private workspace is just private to you. Everything you create in the private workspace is just there and there forever until you delete it or move it. No one else will see it. And our drive workspace, if you're working with collaborators and you invite them to your drive, they'll be able to see folders and projects created here. Then we have some shortcuts here. We have recent projects, quick recordings, which are recordings that you make using our built-in screen recorder, screen, camera, and audio recorder, I might say. And then share with me projects that are explicitly shared with you by right-clicking and choosing project access. Oh, there's Christiana. So you can check that out, share with folks. It's great if you want to get some feedback, comment only, or you actually want someone to help you edit.
Right.
And the last two, Voices, which we've renamed, used to be Overdub, but this is where you create and manage all of your Overdub voices. And Overdub is our synthetic AI voice creation tool, where you put in media of you speaking, and we create an AI model of your voice so you can type and hear back audio in your voice. It's very cool.
Yeah, Kevin and I did Overdub 101 a couple weeks ago. So if you want to go check that out, it's up on our YouTube channel.
Sweet. And the last bit is templates. This is where you'll create new templates. It's where you can, if you create a template here on a shared drive with different members, all the folks that have access to that drive will be able to see that template. You can see Our colleague Harmony here has made one, and I've made a bunch of others. But we'll get into template work in a little bit. Okay, so that's our overview. Last bit is our account settings. You can click your avatar or initials in the top right here. Choose your theme, light, and dark mode, which is very cool. Adjust your settings for your drive, which includes a bunch of different stuff: subscription, members, your transcription activity, and invoices. It's also where you can add a cute little penguin like me.
Love it. Yeah. I just added my picture in the other day. I didn't know. I had 10 months at Descript and I hadn't done that yet.
We're always learning. It's, the way it goes.
Absolutely.
So,
Sorry, I had to grab another squeaky toy. I was going to say, in the Storyboard resource document, there's this great page on what has changed. So you can like go in there, and if you're used to classic, you can see like sort of comparisons of all the different where things have gone, or if something has changed like in actual placement. So that's been really helpful for me as I've been transitioning. So definitely check that out if need be.
Sweet.
Cool.
So you can see Harmony and I have been working together on this drive. We also have a few more folks that are members. A couple things that we can do. I can favorite and star these folders to have quick access down below here. And I can also do it to folders within folders. So I can just create a bunch of really great shortcuts to get to specific folders and have a nice organized drive. So let's make a project. How's that sound?
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
Sweet. So I'm going to go into my folder, and if you have a folder open or you have a drive or drive workspace open, if you create a project, when you have that open, it will create that project in that space. So we'll go up to the top, create new project. If you're a brand new user like today, you won't see the option to create a classic project. But if you're an existing user from previous weeks, months, years, we will have the ability to create classic or storyboard projects for a good amount of time going forward. So you won't lose your work if you're working on some classic stuff. But if you want to check out Storyboard, we're going to create new project in the top right. That's going to create a blank project for us where we can start to import or write or record, depending on what we're going to do. So before we bring anything in or record and whatnot, let's just do a quick overview of what the project looks like. So we have a new project content portal where you can move it around and it'll actually just stay open until you exit out, which is great. This is where all your compositions, it's our version of a doc, compositions and folders live. Every time you make a new composition, it'll show up right there. New composition button is right there. Across the top, we have a media library, which has stock media and all the media that we bring in. We have our recorder that can record directly into a composition in this project. Text insert for text, subtitles, captions, shapes, and templates. This is where we'll add a template to existing media or start from a template that already has a media attached to it. Across the top, and once we start adding some comments, we'll have a nice comments sidebar here. You can add folks to this project. And towards the end, we'll talk about publishing, exporting, and whatnot. And as always, that question mark in the bottom right-hand corner. Can't get enough of it. All right, so we're going to start first with importing and transcribing. Pretty common workflow. We have a video on our computer, and we want to bring that in, transcribe it, and start to edit it. So through my screen share, you won't be able to see it right now, but I'm just on my desktop or somewhere in my computer, hard drive, wherever it might be, I have a video file that I want to drag and drop in. Mm-hmm. If I'm bringing in a single file, I'm just going to drag that file, drop it on. If I'm a podcast producer and maybe I have 2 videos or 2 pieces of audio from 2 or more sides of an interview, I'm going to grab all of those files and drop them in together. It's a big aspect that we think about when we're importing and transcribing. So single instance of recording, maybe you have 2, 3, 4 files, drop all those in together. Or if you're just ready to start working on a single video, you just take that one file and drop it in like this. You can decide if you want to be prompted for your transcription language or choose between any of our 23 languages. This is on an app file per file level, so the file will be transcribed in its entirety in that language. So if you have someone speaking 2 languages in one file, you might have some difficulty. Try to break it up into different files and then bring those in one at a time. I'll transcribe. And here we have a couple different speakers. So if you're ever unsure, you can just click unsure and we'll be able to detect them. But I know that there's 2 folks in this interview. So I'm going to choose 2, confirm it's English, and that's going to start transcribing, detecting speakers. This is a great little piece of an interview from one of my favorite artists up here in New England, named Jim Lee. Okay, so I'm going to identify speakers real quick. Let's get started.
Thank you for your voice. Yo, that's love. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Giver Taker LP. We've been playing it a lot on KEXP. So my parents, like, they both love like 80s pop music, and they used to just play it all the time.
Cool. So now when that pops out, transcription will be nice and labeled out with Gabriel and Jim Lee's names.
Love it.
Just like that.
Beautiful.
Great. So before we get into some editing, you'll see that some other areas have populated as well. We have our properties panel here where we'll show any clips or add effects, change layout, all that kind of stuff. Also where our audio effects are going to live if we ever wanted to add something like studio sound or any of our effects. And as we're editing too, we can now use our search feature, magic menu, which has a bunch of cool stuff we'll check out in a second, and our 3 dots if we ever wanted to change the orientation of the video or switch to audio only, all that kind of stuff. So there's a couple quick things to note. Is that we have this text transcription called the script. We have our canvas over here, which is our video canvas. We also have this timeline. So these 3 work together. They're all synced. They all are referencing the same video or audio, whatever we're working on. And we can use them independently or kind of in parallel to get our results that we want. So there's some things that we can do just in the timeline or just in the script in the canvas. So the canvas, it's the only place we can, resize video or different elements that we drop in. In the script, it's the only place where we can maybe change the spelling of a word if we were going to select and correct a word. And in the timeline, the only place that we're going to be able to see waveforms and do things like remove breaths. And the timeline can be expanded or collapsed depending on how we're working. Just note that you can expand it and collapse it at the top here, as well as right above these word tabs to get the height and zoom that you want.
Cool. Kevin, do you think it would be worth showing folks like where to find the blade tool and the in the timeline?
Yeah, definitely. So these 3 areas here, we have our tools for the timeline, which we have select. This is how you select a clip. The range tool, which is where you might go down to select a range and delete it. Or you can see there's a breath right here. This little waveform, I might go down and remove a breath. We also have the blade tool, which just gives us an edit point and splits a clip. The hand tool, which we can just move around and not make any edits at all, which is really nice. And the slip tool, which allows us to slip an existing clip and expand or collapse what we've removed, like so.
Beautiful.
It's really awesome when we start to add B-roll. Also have other couple quick buttons here. Show the selected layer. You're like, what is a layer? We're going to show you when we start talking about scenes. Once we add more layers, we'll be able to see all those, and then also zoom in, zoom out, adjust playback speed. Common misconception, this is entirely manual. So if you want 4x playback speed, you can change that to 4x or whatever you want customized.
Awesome.
All right, so the magic of Descript. Let's not forget this.
Emily, thank you so much for that beautiful performance.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for your sugar smooth voice right now.
Okay, cool. A lot of thank yous. Maybe we want to remove some of those. What we can do in Descript is just select the script text and either press delete.
Performance.
Thank you so much for your sugar.
And it removes it from the video and the audio. Or we can also use the strikeout feature here, which is called ignore. That allows us to select some text, ignore it, and see the edits that we've made struck out, but it does the same thing.
Thank you so much for your.
Sorry, there we go.
Performance.
Thank you so much for your sugar smooth voice.
Cool. So 2 options for editing in the script. As we're going
Sugar
through,
smooth voice
go
is.
ahead.
I was just gonna say I love sugar smooth voice.
He does. I mean, Gabriel's got such a great interviewer voice. Pretty amazing. Cool. As we're going through the script, this is where we're going to make likely the majority of our editorial decisions about what we're hearing and seeing in the narrative media, or what is said in words. So you'll see here we have some ums and repeated words underlined in blue. Those are all of our filler words. Oftentimes, depending on what I'm working on, one of my first things I'll do is I'll clean up the beginning and the end of the interview to make sure it starts and stops where I want to. So you can see here there's a bunch of space. I might clean that up in the timeline by hovering over an edit point and adjusting the start and end point. Or if there's a false start, maybe I might remove that in the script. And then I'll also go through up to our magic menu to get some little cleanup things happening first. I can shorten word gaps. That removes a moment of silence. So any awkward pauses or just long periods of time that there's no audio, I can say anything that's, maybe half a second or more, I'm going to shorten it down to half a second. So anything that's more than half a second long will be shortened down. So the longest period of space we'll have in this interview is half a second. You mess around with that, it's fun.
That saved me yesterday because my video had to be 2.5 minutes. Oof. And I was like not quite hitting it. And I just did that and it got me well under. So I love that. Love that feature.
Cool. Another time saver, overall time saver, and also just clarity saver is the removal of filler words. So you can choose what words you want to pull out. I'm on the pro version of Descript. If you're on Creator, you just have fewer options. You can choose to just delete it outright or also ignore it, which will give us that struck out text. And if I apply to all of these filler words are going to be removed just with 2 clicks.
Beautiful. Somebody asked how to undo deletions. So could you maybe show us how to re-include some of those filler words?
Absolutely. So especially in video, the more edits we're making, obviously it looks heavily edited. Depending on the platform, that could work. But for an interview, if it's all chopped up and it's just this one video, it might be a little bit too much. So for me, I usually cut out all filler words and then bring back maybe 20% of them, 15% of them. And what I can do, because I use strikeout, is I'll play.
Yeah, that's love. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Giver Taker LP. We've been playing it a lot on KEXP, so it's nice to meet you and to dig a little bit more.
You can hear there's a little bit of a jumpy edit in this. What I'll do is I'll just highlight it, unignore, and it brings it right back.
To dig a little bit more.
For some reason, it's not following my
You
selection.
and to dig a little bit more.
I can do that.
And if you had just like deleted that outright, would that be something you would need to fix in the timeline, or how would you?
Great question. You can always bring it, but you can see that there's an edit right here. There's that vertical line in the script. So I can select some text, right click, and choose restore removed media, and it'll bring it right back, just like that.
Nice.
The reason I use strikeout is because I can see the edit that I made or the words I'm going to bring back. But
Yeah,
if I remove it, I can also go into the timeline and expand or collapse that edit point and bring that right back in, just like that, by hovering over the edit point here.
awesome. Cool.
Yeah, 2 ways.
Cool.
So everything we do to the text, obviously, is happening to the video and audio. So that means I can rearrange sections. I can cut and copy and paste text, and it's going to bring along the audio and video with me. Everything's going to stay synced up the whole time. Obviously, this is one MP4 file I brought in. So it really allows me to spend the vast majority of my time just editing both in the text and in the canvas, which is where all of our visual elements are going to live. So what does that look like? As I'm working, actually, before we get to the canvas, I want to talk about one quick thing is our properties panel here, which I kind of glanced over in the beginning. Properties panel is where we're going to adjust clips maybe. So if I have this clip selected down here and I want to adjust the volume, I might go into our show clips list here and adjust the settings of that clip. I can click and drag this to adjust the volume however I'd like. I can also change the clip speed if I want to bring this up or down. Anyway, these are all obviously manual, so I can type right into it as well if I know the exact speed I want to change. We talked about layout real quick. It's a big part. It's how I might change the layout of a specific visual element, which we'll do once we start adding stuff, but also effects and animation going through. So for me, I usually do a pass on my script timeline canvas of the first kind of like the foundation of my video, which in this case is an interview. I want to get the interview sounding pretty good from start to finish, pretty clean, transparent, before I start doing things like creating scenes, which I'll show you in a second, or adding visual elements, anything like that, B-roll, whatever it might be. As I'm working, some things come up though. Like I want to correct the transcript. So when I eventually add captions, those are going to look really good. And there's a couple different ways I can do that. I can select text here and choose correct, or just press the C key. And I can make corrections to just the transcript without affecting the audio or video. Just like that, easy. I can also go into correct mode, which is up here, which is you just type C without having any words selected. And that transforms Descript temporarily into kind of a word processor where I'm only making corrections to my transcript. Really, really helpful if you want to get a highly accurate transcript for captioning or for searching or just editing. Being a text-based editor, Descript is far better when your transcript is highly accurate. So depending on your audio quality or who's speaking.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to ask if you have any tips and tricks for how to get your transcription as solid as possible.
Definitely. So there's the manual ways I just showed, selecting correct, going into correct mode, or navigating back to edit mode and making selections to correct. But there's also there's two very cool things to check out. One is, I feel like everybody should set this up before they go and start bringing stuff in, is go to File, go up to the Descript D up here, File, Transcription Glossary. Here, I would add all kinds of words that I feel like the transcription is going to get wrong, especially like proper nouns or acronyms, all that kind of stuff. Descript will keep an eye and an ear out for those and try to get it right the next time you transcribe something, if those words exist in there. The other one, if you already have something in here and you're noticing, yeah, there's a few things that are wrong. I usually do this anyways, is I'll go up to the magic menu and go to detect transcription errors. It's going to put it through another round of transcription and underline in green where it thinks it may have gotten it wrong, and then bring me through a process where I can audition each one super quick, make corrections, and get an even more accurate transcript. With good audio quality and clear speech, Descript is about 95% accurate, the transcription, but using detect transcription errors, which we call at Descript the transcription wizard, you can get up to 98, 99% accuracy, just like that.
Love it.
The last bit, if budget allows, is if I go to my media library, I go to this video I just brought in, I can also right click and order white glove transcription. And that's human generated transcription. So we'll actually have a transcriptionist go in and transcribe this for you. It usually takes at max a day, but depending on how long the media is also. And that will be, we say 99.9% accurate, because sometimes there's little things that a human's not going to get, but most of the time it's going to be 100%. Really, really great.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, the last mode, we talked about edit mode, which is our standard. We're editing text, timeline, everything, making corrections to what we're seeing and hearing by editing the text. We talk about correct mode, which is that temporary transition to word processor mode, just making corrections to the transcript. We also have write mode, which is what we're going to initiate when we want to use things like overdub, or we want to just do some writing, which is a very standard practice in pre-production, or if we're writing around different sections of a longer video or pieces of different videos. And what that looks like is, if I have this interview as kind of my foundation, I might add a speaker label here by clicking the plus button, go into speaker label, and maybe I'm the host. Add myself as a host. And what I'll do is I'll start to write. Start to bring in your host narration. It'll keep some space down here in your timeline, so you know about how long it's going to last. The same thing, I'm going to use the shortcut, the @ sign, to add in. And I can just kind of write through. I can start to write a bunch of post narration, whatever it might be. It's going to keep that space. Awesome for pre-production, awesome for writing scripts, no matter what you're making.
Right.
But the coolest thing here, Christiana alluded to it before, is we did a full one-on-one session on overdub. This is the mode you go into when you want to use our synthetic AI voice creation tool called Overdub. By clicking the speaker label, I can do a bunch of different things. I can choose a voice here that I've created, I can choose a stock voice, which all comes stock with Descript. And I can also adjust my speaker labels. So I can say, okay, anytime I use the Kevin host voice, I want to use this overdub voice that I've created for that text. So now anytime I type and use that speaker label, also have some styles, which you can learn more about in that Overdub 101 tutorial. It's going to generate overdub audio for me.
It's awesome.
Should we give it a listen?
Voice right now.
We had a great time talking to Anjamal at KEXP.
Thank you for your voice. Yo, that's love. Yeah, I'm a
Of course, Overdub didn't pronounce Anjamali's name right. So I might change this, actually, and spell it phonetically and then make a correction to the transcript to get that how I want it to sound.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and like you alluded to how you can have different styles of voices. So like maybe Kevin would go back and if that sounded like too formal or he had his podcast host voice that he feels more chill in or something like that, all of that stuff can be like created and you can apply those different styles to whatever you're creating.
Very cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
Those are our 3 modes. Really fun. So much to do. And they kind of expand all the possibilities of what we can do in pre-production and when we're kind of working in segments as we produce content.
Totally.
I think we're ready to talk about scenes. How's that sound?
I think so too. It's scenes time.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Scenes are what we use to break up our media, in this case, our video. We're going to break up our video into sections that we can control independently from the entire video. So think of it kind of like a slide deck, but paired with all the power of video and audio editing too. So what we can do is create scenes to split this up. So maybe I want this to be its own scene. So I'll add a slash right here or click the add scene button. But I also want another scene when Anjimli starts speaking. Might add a scene there. Basically, anytime we want our visuals to change on the canvas, we're going to create a new scene. I'm going to delete some of my overdub stuff. We don't need that right now. We have these scenes. Now we have these different card views on the side in this gutter. And you can see when I select each scene, it selects just that section of text in the script. So a really nice organized way to get our visuals to change, then also control all of those visuals together in the scene. I can copy and paste all of the scene parameters you'll see in a sec. Just so many options.
Lately, it's been helpful for me to think of scenes as like containers for like a specific part of the story. So like in this container, I might want these visual effects, and in the next container, I might want these. That's kind of helped because understanding scenes definitely involves some like rewiring coming from more like traditional video and audio editing. So yeah, sometimes those little different metaphors can be helpful.
Absolutely. And most of the adjustment that we're going to do with scenes is going to happen in the canvas. Sometimes we're going to go down to the timeline and maybe add some fades or extend something beyond a scene boundary if we want to kind of overlap between cards and scenes. But you'll see when I start to add visual elements, it's all going to be dropped in to that scene on the canvas, and I can make changes as we go. So I'm going to click in this scene or select the scene, and we can start to add some stuff. So maybe add some text, and I'll add a title.
Somebody said, seems like a good way to create a lesson for an online course, like scenes as absolutely. Yes,
Yeah.
that is a really great use case. And we actually just did, our friends Harmony and Jack did a session on creating like EDU materials. So you can find that on our YouTube as well, Xandra.
Cool. So I might want to add some text. I could change the font over here. And now that text that I just added was added to this scene only. So when I get to the second scene, it's gone. So I can start to drag and drop anything I want. Maybe I want a shape underneath that. I could add a rectangle, drop that in here. I'm going to resize it, maybe put it course, I added that to the wrong scene. So I'm going to cut it. Paste here. And I can start to really organize this how I want to. And as I'm working, I'm resizing this pretty freely by holding the Shift key on my keyboard to move it around and be able to change the height and the width. If I don't do that, I don't hold anything, it's going to keep the aspect ratio the same. Big thing to check out.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So I'm covering that up. I'm going to right click it now and I can move it to a layer behind. This is where we're talking about layers within a scene. So we have our main content. Now we have broken up into scenes, and now we can create layers within the scene on our canvas, which is just like, imagine a stack of papers, and we can rearrange the order of the stack of papers depending on what things we want to overlap or be backgrounds or behind one another. So I can right click elements and move them backward. And I could also send it all the way to the back if I wanted to as well. So these are both white. So I'm going to change the color real quick. Make that blue. And now you can see that is layered behind the text. Cool. So let's play through our first scene.
Much for that beautiful performance.
Thank you so much for your sugar smooth voice right now.
Thank you for your voice. Yo, that's love. Yeah, I'm a
Cool. Transitions into the second scene, and that's all gone. Just like that.
Love it.
Maybe while I'm working, I'm like, actually, you know what? This is for TikTok. I need to change the orientation real quick. I'm going to go up to these three dots, change it to portrait. Now I have this in portrait mode, and I can play through and mess around with everything I have here.
Awesome. Super cool.
All right. So as I'm working too, a lot of times I'm creating new scenes where I'm like, oh, I completely forgot the intro. I might press return, create a new scene by using the slash key. And now I have this blank scene in the beginning where I can start to make an intro and mess around with what that looks like. So there's a bunch of different ways to do that, as well as I can create a gap clip if I wanted to in the timeline. That just gives me a moment of silence. I'm just clicking and dragging these word tabs around to adjust the timing. But I can also create that blank scene at the beginning here. Maybe I want to add some text. We'll drop in some text.
And Jim thank.
It looks like that's not working right now.
Bingo bug.
Great opportunity to remind us that we're in preview beta state in Storyboard. So this is,
Absolutely.
if anyone's been using Storyboard yet, it's been changing a lot. As you know, things we'll get some feedback from folks, and our engineers, product designers will change aspects of the app based on feedback from users. So with that, some things go wrong. It looks like we're having an issue right now where a beginning scene isn't giving us some space in the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you have been using Storyboard, you've probably ran into some of these before. And if you do, and you haven't done so already, you can join our Discord and you can share those bugs that you run into in the Storyboard preview channel. Our CEO Andrew's in there all the time, our product managers, our support team. So definitely go check that out. We'll send a link in the chat and also in the follow-up email for you to join our Discord.
Cool. So as we're working also, here's another moment to talk about the properties panel. So properties panel, for sure, if I have a separated clip, that's where I'm going to go to adjust that clip, or maybe add some effects to a specific visual element. That's also where I'm going to select and change my scene effects or transitions. So if I wanted to transition,
Thank you so much for your sugar smooth voice right now.
Thank you for your voice. Yeah.
I could add a nice transition by selecting the scene, add a nice cross blur.
Thank you for your voice.
Here we go.
Sugar smooth voice right now.
Thank you for your voice. Yeah, that's love.
And add
Yeah,
some transitions. It's awesome for presentations, for going between scenes for a video, for training and learning and development courses, screen shares, whatever it might be. It's very cool.
Perfectly timed. Somebody had asked for showing transitions. So way
There
to
you
go,
go.
Kevin. So intuitive.
Love it. Didn't even see it.
Awesome.
Cool. So before we get into some templates, creating and using templates, which are pretty huge, we also want to talk about the stock media library, because that is just such a huge aspect of our release. I'm going to go into the media library quick and go into the files. And I'm going to right click this file that I brought in, just create a new composition. So starting fresh. And going to make that change that we did before. Cool. So the media library allows us to do a bunch of different stuff. It's a new organization tool for all the files that we end up bringing in, but it also gives us access to stock video and images, a bunch of stuff from Giphy, backgrounds for presentations, training, learning, all that, as well as music and sound effects. So all of the top ones, all of our visual elements, those are going to be added to a scene. So if I create a new scene here and I drop in, let's say, actually, yeah, drop in some stock footage. Of a performance. It's going to download that and it's going to drop it in to that scene right here. You can see it's temporarily selected in the timeline, so I could always adjust the length of it, but also adjust the starting point as well by hovering over the start point.
And Jimmy, thank you so much for that beautiful performance.
Here's where I might want to show all layers if I wanted to add a little fade in.
And Jimmy, thank you so much for that beautiful performance.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Yes, Benji in the chat asked, can you have scenes on scenes? Like if I want a lower third title for the first 30 seconds, scene 1, 2, 3, each 10 seconds, and I want B-roll for just scene 2. So that's sort of what you just demonstrated. You can adjust things to go further and all that good stuff, right?
Absolutely. The classic one is right. I'm going to have a lower third right here. So I'm going to go in and add title, whatever it might be. That's going to pop up in this scene. The stock footage is going to pop up here in this scene. So what I might do.
And Jimmy, thank you so much for that beautiful performance.
I'm going to have that overlap maybe, or end before the scene. Who knows? And I can have things start and stop within a scene if I wanted to, But the scene really allows me to adjust all the aspects of that container. So I can select that whole scene and do like full-on transitions of all the visual elements. I can also adjust where that scene stops and starts if I want to adjust the timing of where the text lower third comes in. I can just do that by clicking this scene boundary, which is this vertical line here. Or I could also adjust where the slash goes. That's going to change the scene start and end point. So a bunch of cool ways to have even more flexibility, like, yeah, almost scenes within scenes, but it's more of just visual elements changing within scenes.
Awesome. Scene inception is going to get too crazy for my brain.
Sceneception.
Yes. There you go. That's
Cool.
what we should call our Scenes 101 that we do. Sceneception.
Oh my gosh. No copyright infringement there at all.
No, none. Nope.
So all the visual elements, right, those are going to be snapped to a scene. Here, talk about like Madonna and breakfast. I'm adding some scenes, and I'm going to go in and maybe snag an image that is breakfast. Easy. That in. Got some nice pancakes popping up. I can make adjustments in the canvas, decide what I want to do with this, add an effect or an animation, all that kind of stuff, right? But if I'm adding music, it's not going to snap to a scene. It's going to snap to one of two things. I can say, "Ooh, I really want some music to start and stop." Basically, by the time Gabriel says KXP, I can drag and drop music from my computer right in. It's going to cut it to this selection, so it'll start in the beginning and end by the time he finishes the word KEXP. Can also go into our music, stock music. Select it, and it's going to automatically adjust to that selection. You can see that green underline. And now I have this music track in the timeline that I can also mess around with, kind of just like in a standard editor, add a fade out, select it, change the volume if I need to, whatever it might be. But now I have.
And Jimmy, thank you so much for that beautiful performance.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your sugar smooth voice right now.
Thank you for your voice. Yo, that's love. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Giver Taker LP. We've been playing it.
Cool. So
Awesome.
Visual elements are going to snap to scene. Audio elements are going to allow us to span and cross scenes.
Awesome. Cool. Somebody asked a great question, and I think it might be a feature request, but I'm going to ask you if we could do this. Mark said, can I make the scene automatically change according to the speaker? So when the guest speaks, their video is larger, for example. So like elements tied to a certain speaker.
That's such a great question. Not with this file yet.
Okay.
So you can
Such
do
a
that
cool
if you
idea.
bring in multi-track files.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, great time to bring in some new media. I'm going to open up, I have an interview here on my computer.
Awesome.
Cool, Petra, Maryland. So these are two separate files that I'm creating a sequence for. So I brought them in together. It's two files from a specific interview.
Mm-hmm.
They recorded each end of it on their end and good to go. What I can do when I have multi-track files, one file for each speaker, is I can go to the magic menu, and when this is done transcribing, it's going to add scenes by active speaker and bring them to the front. It's like a multicam, like an auto-assign multicam view.
Whoa, super cool.
Very cool, yeah.
Wow, I did not know about that. That's exciting. Mm-hmm. Whoa, great prompt, Mark, in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Yeah, I thought that was a feature request, but it's a good time to plug the feature requests. So if you want something from Descript that does not exist yet, you can tell us on feedback.descript.com. Mm-hmm. And you can upvote and leave comments and have conversations with other people that want that. And that highly impacts our roadmap. So like lots of the storyboard stuff had been requested by community members way back when. So definitely put your stuff in there.
Cool. Show what that looks like. Scenes by active speaker, and now it's split up. So when each person is talking, excuse me, a new person is brought up.
Awesome.
Sweet. But great question.
Cool.
Alrighty. So we talked a bit about that media library. There's so much cool stuff in here. Check it out. It can be used for all your projects. With templates, including the media library, it's just another way to expand our use of Descript and Storyboard. It's just such a huge feature that we've been asked about for a long time. We're so happy that it's been brought to life by the team here. So templates. Christiana, did you end up using templates at all for your project? And if not, do you wish you did?
I'm going to start with your second question. Yes. So much. So like what I was working on, I had 7 different videos that I was from all of my coworkers that I was putting together in a large video for a team update. And I wish if I had had more time, I would have made a template that made like all the captions the same, all of the background music the same, and like put everyone's like titles and their names, and like, so mine would be like Christiana, community manager, and then the next, so I if I had had more time yesterday, so I love templates.
Cool. Yeah, I'm with you. There's so many times where I'm just like, oh, I could just slap on visual elements here and kind of be done.
Totally.
So there's two ways that we're going to talk about templates today. One is just using the templates that are available to us in the templates gallery. The other one is creating our own template, which we're going to kind of breeze through, but definitely check out our help center if you want to get more in detail look at creating templates. Templates are at the scene level. So we create a template for one specific scene or a group of templates for a full video that has many different scenes. That'll make sense in a second. When we're ready to use them, say we wanted to use the stock templates that exist in Descript, we're going to go to the gallery here and maybe find one that works for us. Can drag and drop it in and drop it onto a specific scene. And it's going to download some files for us.
Awesome. While that's downloading, Kevin, someone asked, how did Petra and Marilyn get the 2 separate files in that interview?
Great question. They recorded, in this case, they recorded locally on their 2 computers, and we had to sync them after, which was kind of a pain. But what we have integrated with our friends at Squadcast and Riverside is if you do video interviews, is you can record in Squadcast or Riverside and use the edit and Descript function to take it from their cloud and drop it over to our cloud without ever having to download files. It'll automatically create a project for you. You have multiple speakers, multiple files, 1 file for each speaker with the audio attached, and it looks and sounds great. That highly recommend. Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah. Not having to download and re-upload files is a dream.
Mm-hmm. Especially video. Video files can be so large and take a while. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I just dropped this into all of, this template from our templates gallery onto this scene. We now have these great visuals. We can change the colors if we want to, mess around, and have this look and feel however we want. What we can also do is I can just copy this, and it's going to copy the scene properties. And I can just go to other scenes and just paste it in. We'll try that again. Copy, paste. And it's going to paste those parameters if I want to keep that layout. So also what I can do is this scene is now independent, right, from the rest of them. That's Marilyn talking, so I'm just going to delete Petra for a second. I'm going to make Marilyn's video bigger, center it. And now if I copy the properties of this scene and drop it in wherever Marilyn is speaking, it's going to keep those properties in that layout. So really quick and easy way to keep visual and canvas properties as one.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah. I might do the same thing when Petra's speaking.
We are officially recording now. So we are recording.
You can go in and make changes to specific ones that I had a double video.
We are recording.
Cool. Here's another transition.
So honestly, the inspiration really.
I can go in, add transitions to my templates, or excuse me, to my scenes here, and continue to edit.
Awesome. Super cool.
So I also have templates that I've made. I'm going to take this little section right here. Say I want to bring this out to social. I have a Instagram or TikTok, something that I want to post just this little clip. I'm going to right click and duplicate it to a new composition, which is our version of a doc. I'm going to open it, and now this is brought over just like that. I might go back and copy, paste my attributes just like that, get that looking how I want to.
Cool.
And I also might resize.
Get your TikTok on.
Get my TikTok on, which you know me, Christiana.
I know you.
Always TikToking. God, I sound so old. Okay.
I was going to say, just like the kids.
Just the kiddos. Yep. So here's our portrait style for Reels. TikTok looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Make some edits maybe. We didn't talk about captions at all, so oops. Where did that video go?
So honestly, the
Little bug maybe, but we're going to add some captions. So I'm going to go up to text, drop in a caption. All of the visual elements that I'm adding right now are going to add to this whole scene because it's just one scene.
Mm-hmm.
I can change the fill, get some good looking captions. I can also change the style of the live text. So I maybe go into karaoke style here, have a background color. Cool.
And you can upload custom fonts as well if you have a special font that you want your captions in. So if you have a brand kit, you can stick that into Descript and really make your stuff feel authentic and stand out from all the social noise out there.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I'll add SFUI bold here.
Cool.
So let's also make this a little bit bigger. That's huge. Looking good. Okay. Again, I'm holding shift so I can make this bigger.
Cool.
All right. So now I have.
inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of like March 15th, 2020, I was locked in my bedroom. I felt like everything that I knew in the outside real world had just disappeared in a matter of days.
Yeah.
And
Cool, getting
Beautiful.
closer.
Mm-hmm.
Have that, and I kind of stole from my original design. If I didn't want to do all this work and remake this template and all that stuff, there's a couple things I might do. First, I'm going to go back to my original. I'm going to clip this one again to a new composition. Sorry, I'm going to duplicate it to a new composition. It used to be called clip to composition. That's why I'm here. And in this case, I selected the whole scene, so it brought along all the elements. So I'm actually going to redo that real quick. I only want the script. So I'm not going to select that scene or click the whole scene. I'm just going to take that text. Great. Now I have its raw form. I'm going to go up to templates, and I'm going to maybe peruse through some templates that I've made before. Pretty good one. For a Chili Piper one. Ooh, Descript at work. Oh, here's one that Harmony made. This looks pretty good.
Cool.
I'm going to drop this in. This is going to be like audiogram style. Orientation's different, so I'm going to match the orientation by clicking this button. Oh, there's all those elements. Looking good.
Awesome.
While this is happening, I might select the scene, change the background, something. Make it look. This looks goofy. Cool. So we have all these elements that we brought in. We have our captions going. We have this progress bar that we can resize and mess around with. Petra's name. Just all set just by dropping in that template. I go through and say, you know what? I don't like any of this. I'm going to use a different template.
Well, that's
This is a waveform that we added through shapes up here.
Oh yeah, love those. Somebody asked, can we add presets in the color picker?
Great question. They will be saved in your template, but not as presets when you're adding something. There was a recent change. Let me show something real quick. If I add a circle and I change that to green, for instance, I believe if I add another circle, yeah. So we'd set them as defaults. Templates are going to be your way.
Got it.
But that's good feedback. Definitely leave that. Some feedback that I've left recently is that, yeah, it'd be awesome to have defaults or maybe remember our last, something like that.
Totally. Yeah.
Cool.
Great feature request.
Oh yeah. So a bunch of things that happened here is I just added all of these layers. I might go in, click this show layers button, and just delete some of these that I don't want. Good, cool. All right. So now I'm here in my scene. I can select the scene by clicking somewhere outside of the canvas right here. That'll select the scene, or I can also select the scene right here. And I might go and change the background real quick so I can see that popping out. Okie doke. And I also have Petra. I'm going to resize her. So here I'm clicking the scene. I'm selecting a specific layer that I want to adjust. And messing around with it.
Inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of like March 15th.
Cool.
Sweet.
So there's some stuff to think about while using templates.
Totally.
Any questions that we can check out before we move on to making templates, Christiana?
Let's see here. Cami asked, if I change the property of the template in one scene, does it change it in all of them?
Say that one more time.
So I think what they're asking is like, say you have a template that is applied to like an entire project, and then you split up some stuff into scenes, and in your first scene, you like change the color of that circle to orange instead of blue. Would that apply across the entire project, or is that just then only in that scene?
Such a great question. So say you hate this yellow, because I do. I'm going to change that yellow to a different shade. And when I've made a change, it looks like it's not working for color change. Let me try it one more time. Okay, I'm going to add that as a request. But if I make any visual element change, you'll see this button that pops up called Apply to All Scenes.
Right.
So the second scene.
Inspiration really everything involved.
It looks like. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to experiment with something real quick.
Please take your
orange.
Take your time.
Involved me interact. I felt like everything that I knew.
Oh, it looks like we have a bit of a bug happening right here, or maybe it's this state that this project is in, some stuff going on. But
got it.
When I make a change, so say I'm going to change like the layout of this circle somehow. Ooh. I can apply it to all scenes, and when I go to that previous scene, it should be changed to that as well.
Awesome.
But what's happening right now, which shouldn't be the case, is I'm making a change to this scene, and it's not keeping the original in the other scene. But it should be happening. That'll be changed probably in the next day.
Yes.
But that's your move. Make a change in the canvas and then apply to all scenes, and it'll change that everywhere.
Awesome. Cool. And then Daniel said in the chat, anything online that shows what you just went through with more detail, creating the social media posts. So yeah, Kevin, we haven't like explicitly talked about how amazing this is for social media, but essentially you can throw a long podcast or video in there, and Descript is your best friend for repurposing that content for social media and promoting and sharing your new episode with your audience, etc. So I'm going to share a link in the chat. We have a guide on repurposing content for social media. I'll send that in there. And then maybe about a month ago, Kevin and I did a dedicated session on making social videos from your content. So you can go back on YouTube and check that out. And if you would like to see that again, let us know, and maybe we will put that on the schedule for an upcoming event. But yeah, the quick changes of like the specs to go like vertical and square is just really, really awesome.
Yep.
Really
There's
cool.
that process that I showed of taking a clip from your full recording, clipping it, duplicating it to a new composition, adding a template right there. Maybe we go into like our stock audiograms templates that we provide. I drop that in, match the orientation.
So honestly, the inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of like March 15th, 2020, I was locked in my bedroom. I felt like everything that I knew in the outside real world had just...
Maybe I want to just adjust those layers or something. Bring it to the front.
Cool.
Pandemic, as of like March 15th, 2020, I was locked in my bedroom.
20 seconds, I have a social post ready to go and to export.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool. Grant asked, when you repurpose longer form content into short form with the duplicating scenes, does that deduct from your monthly time? I'm guessing that's your transcription hours. Do you know the answer to that?
No, it doesn't. So
Okay.
transcription hours only count towards media that you're recording into Descript, which we're going to talk about in a sec. Recording into Descript or importing and transcribing. Those are the only things that count towards your transcription hours. If you're cutting and copying and duplicating all that stuff, none of that has any effect. It's just the file that you drop in, and that is transcribed and how long that file is.
Awesome. Cool. So go to town, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. In 2 minutes or less, I'm going to talk about creating templates real quick because I think you'll just understand it once you jump in. But I'm going to go back to my drive here, go into templates, and create a new template. And here I'll just make a project like I just did for the last hour and get it to look and feel exactly how I want to. And let me go to one that's already made, which makes so much sense. I'll have multiple scenes here, and I'll just publish these, and I'll have different scenes, and I can change the thumbnail and stuff. Looks like there's something going on with our thumbnails right now. So you would ideally see a bunch of thumbnails here. Like so. So I have an ending as well as this audiogram, and you publish those, and you have, here's one scene and here's another scene. So those are the two templates, scene templates that exist within this template project right here. And then to add them, you do all the things we just did.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's really easy, intuitive. It makes so much sense once you know Descript a little bit, know how your scenes are going to be added, by messing around with the gallery, and then going to make yours it's so great and easy. And then they're always shared and saved right there.
Super cool. All right.
The last couple things I want to talk about. One is multi-track recording, right, Christiana? We want to check out the recorder.
Let's do it.
And then we can show off studio sound.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Yep. I think this is an audience that has been asking about the multi-track recording stuff. So I think this is perfect.
Cool. So the recorder can be used a number of different ways. I'm going to go and make a new composition. And I'm going to start here. I can just start a recording by clicking Start Recording. If I'm in an existing composition, I'll just go up to the recorder right here and start. You can do audio only, camera, or camera and screen. So you're not going to be able to see my camera preview, but I have a little camera preview here because it's a separate window that I can move around to different displays, whatnot. But it just mainly shows how I look on camera. And I can set up a bunch of different stuff. So this is all multi-tracked out. Meaning if I record my camera and my computer audio and my microphone input, I'm going to have 3 separate tracks in a multi-track sequence, meaning if my dog barks or something while I'm recording, I can just quickly cut that out of the mic track without affecting the video. Non-destructive, all of it is non-destructive entirely. It's just such an ease to use. So I might add speaker labels here. I might adjust sound. I can enable studio sound if I want, or have transcription happen for my computer sound. Decide to add studio sound for myself if I want to, change my camera input, all this stuff. I can also change some other settings that exist right here. So here I'm just going to do a camera recording. I'm going to record it right to the script. Hey, thanks for joining the session today. Boom. Boom. That recorded, transcribed. Hey, thanks for joining the session today. And my awkwardness at the beginning and the end, I can cut out just by going down here in the timeline, collapsing that. Maybe I want to add a quick fade. Boom. Now I have a recording drop directly into this project. Hey, thanks for joining the session today. You can start to work from that. Pretty awesome and easy.
Sweet.
Going back to Petra's, if I ever wanted to record to a scene, that's another option that I have. So I'm like, oh, it would be awesome to bring in Petra's music during this section. What I could do, go here. I'm going to record audio only, just my computer audio. And I'll record to the scene. And then I'll go and open up Spotify, play Petra's music. Press stop. Now I should have an audio track right here. You can see that green track was just dropped in, and I can start to mess around with that and put it where I want to.
Everything that I knew in the
TikTok.
So honestly, the inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of March 15th, locked in my bedroom, I felt like
add some fade in, fade out, that kind of stuff. So allows
That's
you to
really cool.
record directly to a scene or directly to your script. Same works for video, your screen if you're working on that training learning material, all that stuff.
That's awesome. Cool. And then when you're also recording your screen and your camera and your audio, all of those things upload separate, right? So you can play around.
Yep. Let's do that real quick.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm not sure. I think it's because I minimized. So here, stop. Let's see if this works.
Some abstract art for everybody.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So now I have this recording that I just did with, I'm going to right click and edit the sequence. You can see I have a computer and screen on one track and my mic and camera on one track.
Mhm.
What I can just do is detach the audio, and now the visuals are separated out from the audio tracks. So everything's
Separate.
completely separate.
Cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So last but not least, Christiana,
Mm-hmm.
should we check out Studio Sound?
Let's do it.
All right.
And on a good
Any other questions we should check out before we do that?
Diana asked, is it possible to use a virtual green screen when recording a video in Descript?
Oh yeah.
Great question.
Let me show you. So here's my recording that I just did. I'm going to go to green screen. That's going to apply green screen to me. And green screen is our universal term for just background removal. So whether I actually have a green screen or not, it's going to remove the background for me. This may take a moment. But the way I did that is I selected the clip in the canvas and I went to effects and chose green screen.
Cool. And what would you say some top use cases for green screen would be?
Well, for me, right now, I have all of my plants out on my deck and I hate my background. I might just take that out. Or I'm in a place where the background is just distracting or annoying. I might just do that. Or if I want to bring in some other visual elements, like I want to make it look like I'm in the city or something. I
Right.
could record in front of a green screen or in front of any background, and I can apply some stock footage to the background right there, to the scene, and adjust my layers, which would be really cool.
Cool. Something that people do on TikTok is like they'll be talking about like an article or like a something that's happened and they have like a photo of it and then they will like place themselves somewhere on it like while they're talking in front of it. So I think about that sort of use case as well,
Right.
like having just like visual cues for what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. All right, I'm going to add some studio sound while this is going. So if I'm in an interview where I have this multi-track sequence, right? I can edit the sequence. These are two tracks. I can now add studio sound just by going to Audio Effects, Audio Repair, Studio Sound, and it's going to add it to both Petra and Marilyn's files here. So Studio Sound is added at the file level. So both of their MP4s will have Studio Sound initiated and added. And if I ever want to adjust them individually, that's when I might go into the sequence. It's also going to affect Petra or Marilyn's audio no matter where it exists in this project. So see here, if I edit the sequence, this is still audio and video from that same sequence. I can go and make little adjustments. So if I want to adjust the intensity of studio sound, I can do that. But what studio sound does is very cool. It is our audio enhancement feature. So I'm going to turn it off real quick.
So honestly, the inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of like March 15th, 2020.
Cool. And here's how it sounds with studio sound.
So honestly, the inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of like March 15th, 2020.
So removed a bunch of background noise and room reverb and reflections and made her sound nice and close to a studio microphone, which is just awesome.
Totally.
So now anywhere Petra exists in this project, studio sound is added to her file because under the hood, that sequence, that original track of hers has studio sound added to it. We can mess around with the adjustment here.
Super cool. Maybe show off the little intensity dial of studio sound.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
right. Just was here. So selecting one of the tracks, going in here, I can adjust the intensity, which just mixes in how intense studio sound is. So if you feel it's like a little bit over processed or anything like that, you can adjust the percentage of studio sound applied.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Amazing. I'm gonna need studio sound to get rid of the horns honking in the background of my audio. Yeah. The ambiance.
Sweet. I know we're at time, I guess, but are there any last questions we can check out?
Let's see. Let me check in the ask a question box. Marcelo has answered lots of questions, so shout out to Marcelo. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Someone says, so I don't have to find a stock music clip that almost matches my length. I can connect it to a clip and it will fit.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, you can adjust music to start and stop where you want to. If you want to let's start at the chorus or something, you can always cut it and nudge it and move it around. And then within a scene, it's not going to be set on that scene. So if I drop in music track right here, get a short one. I just want it to start, right after that first sentence. I drop it into the script. It's going to add it in there, and then I could adjust it in the timeline and decide where I want it to start and end. Add a little fade out and it'll end right there. And it's only just that first piece. But if I ever wanted to start like
everything that I knew in the outside real world had just disappeared.
Like right here, I could start at a different place, have a different start time actually in the song itself by adjusting and cutting out the beginning part or using the blade tool to cut out a section. Again, those timeline tools are here. Yeah.
Love it. Beautiful. Cool. And maybe a good last question to end on. A few people have talked about like how you make it look easy, and people are like having difficulty with like doing a bunch of different things in the timeline, for example, or someone earlier even just talked about like, I'm new to Descript. Like there seems like so much to learn. Where do I start? So what would your advice be for success with getting started?
Yeah, absolutely. First thing I suggest is just trying it out and seeing how it goes. Try to do something simple, like try to record something or drop in a file and edit it. There'll be some challenges for sure, but it gives you a baseline of what you know, what you don't know, what things are feeling intuitive. Also give us some feedback your first time in, definitely.
Totally.
The next step I would say is going to that help center and or going to the recording of this event, this webinar, or a different webinar that's covering something that you're trying to do, and have these things side by side. So whether it's the help center here or this recording where you can start and pause it, take your time, do things a couple times. So go to the section where I like added scenes, press play, watch it, rewind it back to that timestamp, and try to do it yourself side by side and start and pause it. That'll help kind of wire up what you can do when you should be doing certain things in your editing flow, but also just get your muscle memory there. Like, how do I add a scene really quickly when I want, this thing to happen? I want to add a couple different visuals, add a scene, drop those visuals in and practice that. It'll allow you to kind of recall those skills quicker. But that side-by-side view is so helpful, rather than trying to do everything all at once in a row. That can be daunting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Amazing. Awesome. Yeah, those are great pro tips. And Cami just had a cool suggestion. It would be cool if you all put together a practice project that takes a new editor from start to finish with these features.
Well, you can do that.
Exactly.
You can do that. Christiana, where might someone find our demo project?
That's a good question. Is it in the Storyboard manual, the resource learning center?
I believe so. I'm gonna jump in real quick.
Awesome. But yeah, that is a truly amazing idea. My dog's getting antsy over here. She's like, are you guys done yet? But on top of that, we also have a lot of content on our YouTube channel. While Kevin's looking for that, we have Descript tips on YouTube that our content team puts together. Those are like bite-sized versions of like things that me and Kevin just went over. So that's another really great resource.
I'm having trouble finding the demo project right now, but we'll get back to you.
Yeah, we'll share it in the follow-up, but that was a really great idea. So we're at time, so we'll let everybody head out, but just just a reminder that this recording is available on YouTube. It's also available right on Crowdcast where you're watching. So definitely go check that out if you ever want to rewatch. If you need just some help, you're having a bug or you're having an issue, contact our support. We have live chat, and you can submit a ticket. And then, of course, join the Discord. If you have storyboard feedback, there's a special channel just for that wonderful stuff. And we truly appreciate that feedback that we're getting so much. It's making the product so much better. So yeah, but this has been a blast. Kevin, thank you as always for being our fearless demo leader. You're the best.
Thank you for being such a great host.
Well, it's been fun. I feel like every time we do this, I feel like I'm a little bit more comfortable with the product. So it's selfishly good for me too. And everybody's
just viewing these private lessons that we're doing. That's what this is. It's just me and you working together on stuff.
It's very real. We're running into bugs. Like we're all kind of in it together. So yeah, just so great to be with you all. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of the storyboard preview. This is like so cool for us. And if you have feedback on this event or what you would like to see in the future, please let us know, because we are super receptive and we want to provide events that you all would enjoy and find useful. So awesome to spend time with you. Have a great rest of your week. And Kevin, as always, it was a blast.
Thanks, Christiana. Thanks all for coming.
Yep. All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.